Hello everybody, hello. Welcome back guys. It's 2021. Welcome back to Espanol class. Don't know when you're watching this. It's January of 2021. This particular class that we're going to be doing today is intended to do a very fast review for my Spanish 2 students who've not had me in about a year on basic conjugations of verbs. They may have forgotten because now they're taking Spanish 2 after some time away from Spanish. So this is all a very quick review. Or if you are just getting familiar with the basics of how to conjugate verbs in Spanish, this might be of interest to you, okay? As with all these videos, you can start and stop them as it suits your purpose. Hang on, don't go away. And it might help you to stop this and get down a concept or go back as many times as you want or need to, okay? So let us start by explaining, first of all, I'm going to go kind of quick with this because this is intended to be a review of something that my students have seen before. But again, as I just got done saying, if you're seeing this for the first time, just go slow, pause it, stop it, and take your notes along the way, okay? Here we go. All right, now, Spanish verbs operate with some kind of regularity just like we have in English. Now, whenever we're studying a foreign language, we tend to study the verbs in the following way. We set up the verbs in this kind of a fashion. We tend to have, okay, I, you, he, and she, all right? These are the singular subject pronouns. Over here, we have the plural ones. The plural of I is, if there's more than one I along with other people, it's we. You is y'all, okay? As we say down here in the South, y'all, which I really like. And he or she is a they. It is that simple. Now, there are some Spanish classes where they teach something called vosotros. It's used in Spain somewhat. I don't teach it because here in the Americas, it's really not used, okay? So let's get away from that. All right, now, this is how we set up studying all conjugations of Romance languages. Why? Because it's easy to remember this way. First person, second person, third person. First person, plural. Second person, plural. Third person, plural. So that's why we set it up this way. If you're studying French, Portuguese, Romanian, Italian, whatever else, Spanish, we tend to just set it up this way because this is where we find the patterns. And in English, that's absolutely true, okay? Now, let's take a look at an English pattern, for example, all right? Let's take a look at the verb to play, all right? Here we go. Let's conjugate this verb in English. Just play is a regular verb. It doesn't do anything weird. All right, we have I play, you play, he or she plays, with an S on the end, okay? We play, y'all play, they play. All right, well, what's the big deal? That doesn't seem that complicated. It's actually not. Let's look for a pattern. Let's take the verb to eat, okay? We have I see. I eat, you eat, he or she eats, we eat, y'all eat, they eat. Now we do have a pattern emerging. I won't belabor this point because it's not an English class. Here's where the pattern emerges, okay? So if you say to yourself, when you conjugate a verb in English, well, what do you do? I mean, where's the pattern? If we set up the subject words this way, and you do in the study of language, okay, what's the pattern? Easy, okay? The pattern in English is you would say, this is the third person, second person, first person, this is singular, this is plural, okay? That's how we set up studying verbs in all languages. You would say that the third person singular, you add the letter S, okay? Let's test that out. What other verb? How about, I don't know, study? Nah, let's go with, it doesn't matter. Eat, play, Sleep, we like that one. Okay, I sleep. That one doesn't work. Okay, I sleep. All right, you sleep. Oh, he or she. There's that S again. Take my word for it, it does work that way. Then we have we sleep, y'all sleep, they sleep. So the pattern in English clearly is on the third person singular, we add the letter S. In Spanish, it works the same way, except for the endings, rather the pattern of how we conjugate the verbs, they work a little differently. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's not awful, okay? All righty, so let's start all over again. Let's start all over again. All right, now let's work in Spanish. We understand, of course, that we're setting up the verbs the same way. Our subject words in Spanish are I, yo, you, tú, he or she, él, ella. I'm going to add one more down here. That is usted, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute, okay? All right, over here we have nosotros, which is we, but they also have a we for women only. No men allowed, women only. We have nosotras, with an AS on the end, okay? And the plural of you is y'all. We have ustedes, okay, as a subject word, meaning y'all. And we have they. Well, if it's all guys or a mixed group, it is ellos. If it's all girls, no men allowed, it is ellas, okay? And if it's y'all, okay, that's they, but if it's y'all, okay, you guys over there, it's you, ustedes. So that's how that works, all right? So, anyway, forget that last part. We already covered that. We, y'all, and they. Now, here's the nice part about it, okay? Just as in English, we add an S on the third person singular, in Spanish, we have another pattern that emerges, okay? All verbs in Spanish either end with an AR, an ER, or an IR. An AR, or an ER, or an IR. All of them. Run, play, study, sleep, park, work, cut, cry, anything. All of these things, okay, kiss. That's an AR verb. Chévere, chévere. Anyway, and in one of these three, all right? Now, in English, it's not that way, all right? For example, sleep, it ends with a P. Play, it ends with a Y. Sew, it ends with a W. But see, for all of those verbs, the pattern is in English is we add an S there, and we've got it. I sew, you sew, he or she sews with an S. Now, take that pattern in English and throw it away. And just make note of the fact that Spanish verbs have their own pattern. It works that way. Now, let's take a verb that ends in AR just to start, okay? All right. Now, again, this is review, so most of you should already know this by now. Let's take an AR verb. What's our favorite AR verb? Oh, to speak or to talk. To speak Spanish, hablar. That's right, H-A-B-L-A-R, hablar. Hablar. There is our verb. It means to speak. To speak or to talk. What's the difference? Now, here's the thing, okay? With the verb to speak, which is hablar, here's the pattern that we use, okay? For all verbs in Spanish, you take off either the AR or the ER or the IR. Right? Now, this verb happens to be an AR verb, hablar. But what we do is we take off that ending and we add a regular set of endings to go with these. All right? The AR verbs have their own set of endings. They have 5 of them. All right? 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay? So, and 5. Now, these all go together, and these all go together. So, wait a minute. What you're saying is, ustedes, ellos, and ellas, they take the same word? Yeah, just the same word, that's all. Whether the subject is ustedes, or ellos, or ellas, you just use that word. That's all. 3 for 1. That's a bargain. Over here, if you're saying he or she or usted is actually you formal. If you're saying you, sir, you, madam. Let's take a fast review one more time of what these are. I. You, as in one person. He, as in one person. She, as in one person. You, madam or sir. Not used often, but at times. We, both of these words, that's a little bit too low. There we go. These both take the same word. This is we, a mixed group of guys and girls, or just guys. And this is no men allowed. Nosotras, okay, whichever we it is, depends on who's in that group. They use that one word. And ustedes, ellos, ellas, y'all, they, and they use this one word. Well, now, what's the formula for doing that? How do we put the right endings on there? Just like in English, you know, we had that S thing. So, so's with an S, okay? And then so, you know. All right, here's how it works. Your AR endings are O, as, a, amos, and an. Very, very basic, okay? So if our AR endings, and most of you in my classes anyway, I've sent you a verb grid where you're going to see up at the top AR verbs, and it has the subject word, and next to that it has the endings. O, as, a, amos, and an will be right alongside yo, tu, and so on and so forth. You can see it on the verb grid that I've got. That's how that works. Refer to that. You'll eventually get to learn it as you use it, okay? Now, here's our endings for AR verbs. Our AR endings are o, as, a, amos, an. What do we put before that? Very simple. Let's go back to the verb hablar, where we take off the ending. We've taken off the AR. So what remains is H-A-B-L. So what remains is H-A-B-L. So I've got H-A-B-L, 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 H-A-B-L. This is your pattern. It's a little bit more complicated in Spanish, but it's not awful. So here's what we've got. I speak is yo hablo. You speak, you talk. Tú hablas. He or she speaks. Él, ella, usted, you formal, habla. We speak, nosotros or nosotras, hablamos. You all speak, ustedes hablan, or they, ellos, ellas, hablan. Okay? So when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, ¿tú hablas español? ¿Tú hablas español? Do you speak Spanish? You will all say, sí, yo hablo español. See? That's how that works. All right? So if me and Bubbles are like hanging out in Spain, in España, and somebody says, hey, you two good-looking gringos, ustedes hablan español? I will say, oh, sí. Nosotros, because it's a mixed group, guy and a girl, okay? Nosotros hablamos español. Okay? That's what we'd say. We speak Spanish. Now, very quickly, let's take a look at ER, IR, and how those verbs work. Now you're going to see that the pattern is, you know, it's not difficult. It kind of works that same way. So you get this worked out in your head that this is how the verbs in Spanish work, and you got it made. All right, let's take an IR verb, vivir. That means to live. Okay, to live. Yeah, like I live in Tennessee. Now, very quickly going over and keeping in mind you have the grid that you're referring to. All right, Vivir is an IR verb. We take off the IR. So what are we going to do for all of these? Same deal. If we take off the IR of vivir, we're left with VIV. So we've got VIV, 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 VIV. Okay, what are our endings for IR verbs? Here's what they are. Okay, and you'll see this on the grid that you all have. All right, here are your endings for IR verbs. O, S, E, imos, N. That's it. So your endings for IR verbs are O, S, E, imos, N. Why do we have it in that order? We have it in that order because it follows along with how we conjugate verbs in all languages. I, you, he, she, we, y'all, and they. It's always that way. So when we have these letter endings, O, S, E, imos, N, that can be applied to the order of subject pronouns that we have here. It's always like that. All right? I know this is kind of fast, but it's a review. So you're having that light bulb go off going, ping, oh, well, I remember this. You know, it's so easy. Oh, my God. I know, right? All right, one more. Let's take an ER verb, okay? An ER verb. Now, keep in mind, we are talking about regular verbs, verbs that don't do anything weird. But we got plenty of verbs that do stuff that's weird. Trust me, okay? We really do. So, let's take an ER verb, a verb that ends in ER, all right? ER. How about, I don't know, let's see. Comer, to eat. Okay, we have the verb C-O-M-E-R. Comer means to eat, okay? To eat. It's an ER verb. You guys know what's coming. We have 5 different forms that it can be because we need to be able to say, I eat, you eat, he, she, or you formal eats. We eat, y'all eat, or they eat, okay? So you know what we're trying to accomplish here. What that means is it's the same process. We take off the ER. What are we left with? Well, we're left with C-O-M. C-O-M, 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 C-O-M. Okay, good. Now that's the base of the verb. But what are the endings for ER verbs? You'll look on your verb grid sheet, look right down that column, bam, 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 bam. Follows in this order. Your ER endings are O, S, E, hemos, N. And you have it. That's it. This covers a ton of verbs in Spanish, probably most verbs. But not all verbs are totally regular. Come on in, come on in. Not all of them are totally regular, guys, all right? Mr. Keysayer's here. You want to be on camera and talk to the crew? Okay. Hold on, guys. Don't move a muscle. Let's kick it.
If Gary Hahn shows up for your third period, tell him to call me on Teams.
Okay.
5th block.
Okay.
Under work-based learning at 2:45.
You got it.
Thank you.
I would tell him 5th block, call you at 2:45.
2:45 on Teams under work-based learning.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, guys, that wraps up the verb thing, okay? Now, they all work this way when they are regular verbs, so that's the nice part about it, okay? We've got I, you, he, she, you formal. We comes in 2 different forms, either we, a mixed group, or all guys. This one is nosotras, women only. And ustedes is y'all. And then we have they, mixed group, or all guys. And ellas, no men allowed, women only, they. So if you're saying they, the ladies are eating lunch today, or the ladies are eating a sandwich, whatever, you would say ellas comen. Ellas comen un sandwich. I'm eating ice cream. Yo como helado. All right? Hey, I'd ask you, are you eating beans? Hey, tú comes frijoles? Or I could just say, comes frijoles? You know, Language is flexible. Okay, there we go. So, hey, tú comes frijoles? What if you're not eating beans? You might say, oh no, yo no como frijoles. Yo no como frijoles. Okay? Easy enough. That's what we got. All right, sports fans, we're going to sign off now. This has been a review of just basic, regular present tense verb conjugations in Spanish. I hope this is bringing it all back to you. If you're seeing this for the first time, I do hope it is clear. If you want a grid, whoever's watching this, write me at jerryfino@gmail.com. That's my civilian address, okay? Jerry with a J as in Tom and Jerry, you know the mouse, yeah. Jerry Fino, one word, JERRYFINO, @gmail.com, and say, hey, Fino, send the verb grid, okay? And I can do that. All right, take care of yourselves. Ciao, adios, hasta la próxima. Until next time.